begin by making my bald line using my trimmers. And I'm making sure I don't apply too much pressure and I don't create a hard bald line that will be hard to fade. And I am dropping the fade in the back to keep some length in the crown. Then I'll make sure all the hair is removed underneath, and then I'll follow up using my shaver, making sure I leave a bit of stubble underneath the bald line. Now using the 1.5 with the lever closed, I'm going to go up as high as I want that dark part of my fade to be at. And in this case, I'm making sure I'm not going too high up, as I am wanting to make this fade compressed, and I want to keep the majority of the top part darker than usual. Then I'm going to use the number 5 with the lever closed and make this the length all around the sides and back. And I could have started with the number 5 first and then the 1.5, but I'm just so used to starting with the 1.5. And how I chose this length was determined by starting off with that higher number and eventually going down to choosing the suitable length that will, one, be dark enough to make the fade pop, and 2, that it won't pop out too much on the sides and make his head look like a mushroom. And then using shear over comb, I proceeded to take out some of that little edge that was hanging off from the top and blended everything together a bit more. Now using thinning shears over comb, I connected the 1.5 up into the number 5 bulk. And yes, I did this with thinning shears over comb because 1, there's less risk of messing up. I do clipper over comb still oftentimes, but I personally always just love to use thinning shears over comb. There's less risk of removing too much darkness, and I love it because it's the versatility of angling my shears in whatever direction it is to get rid of any dark spot in any area. And when dealing with compressed fades, you genuinely want to try your best to not go up too high and leave a reasonable amount of darkness to make the fade pop. You are working with a tighter space, so using clipper over comb could be a bit risky. Not saying it doesn't work, it's just personal preference. Now once my top dark area is established, I'm going to go in with my 0.5 with the lever closed and work on the lower part of the fade. And I am keeping this guideline about 1/2 inch or smaller in width, since I am making a tighter fade. And now without switching guards, I'm going to open the lever and gently flick out that line into the 1.5 area. And anything that the 0.5 open does not get, little by little close the lever until that line or area fades out. Now here I just went back in and detailed a bit more using my thinning shears and doing a little bit of point cutting as well. Now from this point, I didn't flick out the bald line. I started a bit above the bald line and began fading into the fade with the zero, with the lever closed. And as I'm working my way up, I'm lever playing. Essentially, I'm keeping my bald line to make it easier to blend into once I'm done establishing the fade. This allowed me to choose where I would go in with the zero and how tight I wanted that fade to be. And now, since I left the bald line, I went in with my trimmers and just gently and lightly tapped over it. Me leaving the bald line made it so much easier for me to not risk going too high up. Now moving on to the hooks, I cleaned it up a bit using my trimmer over comb to make it easier to line up. And I started at the top part of the hook and then the bottom and connected both of them, creating an arc. And I'll use the corner of my trimmers and glide it in a circular motion. And my client is putting his hair down towards the front, so I won't be lining up his vertical bars to give him a fuller look. Now to give his hair a more textured and finished look, I went ahead and styled him using the Slick Gorilla Lightwork clay. And finally, just to make the fade pop out a bit more, I went and lightly enhanced his C-cups. And here's the finished look. If you enjoyed this tutorial and you found it helpful, please like, share it, and subscribe.